In this video, we'll be talking about a few special stitches that we used in this pattern. Firstly, is the chain stitches. Chain stitch is very straightforward. It's just doing simple chain, like yarn over and pull it out. The first row of stitches, we will make it, and we'll make it in the bump at the back of the chain stitches. So if you can turn your chain stitches over, you will see all these little bumps at the back. And those will be the places that we insert our hook and to make corresponding stitches. Okay, we'll be using a stitch that's called yarn over slip stitch. So what we do is we put the yarn over, insert our hook, and then we pull the yarn out in one go. So we pull this yarn out like through these 3 hoops on your hook. So through 1, through 2, and through 3. Let's do it again. Okay, insert your yarn over, insert hook, and yarn out in one go. Okay, again, insert hook, pull it out through 1 hoop, through 2 hoop, and through the 3rd hoop. So it's a type of slip stitch. The only difference is you actually added a yarn over, so you created a bit of height. So compared to normal slip stitches. And then also, let's make a few more, and we'll turn around and see the loops that actually creates. Okay, we just made the last yarn over slip stitch. And what I forgot to do is I forgot to add a stitch marker to the first stitch that I made. This is very important. When you make every row, make sure you do a stitch marker on the first stitch that you make. Okay, so now what we're going to do is you can either do 1 chain stitch as a standing stitch and turn over, or you can turn over and make a chain stitch as a standing stitch, both fine. Okay, and then the second row, what we're going to do is now we're going to start doing yarn over slip stitch into the back loop or into the front loop, depending on the rows that you're doing. And I'll be talking about, in this case, you have a V shape on the top. That V with the pointy end pointing your left side. You also have another V at the front of your garment, and it's pointing to the right. So now you basically have 3 loops that you can insert your hook into. The back loop only means the loop that's furthest away from you on the top V. And the front loop now is actually here. The bottom loop on the V that's actually facing you, on the lower V. So these 2 V share the same loop, like the middle loop in the middle, which we never insert our hook into. So the only loops that we insert our hook into is the back loop, that V, that loop furthest away from us, and the one at the bottom, this one. Okay, and then now we're doing the second row. What we're going to do is still, I think it's a back loop one. Okay, so back loop only, yarn over slip stitch. So we insert the hook into the back loop only, pull the yarn through in one go. Ooh. Let me just do it again. Okay, yarn over, back loop only, and then pull the yarn through. And then we immediately put a stitch marker here. Okay, and then we continue this way, back loop only, yarn over slip stitches all the way to the end. And also, near the beginning of your even number rows, which is now, because this is the second row, yeah? We do a stitch marker on this side. And I'll tell you more about what that stitch marker will do for you. Okay, insert hook, pull the yarn out. Insert hook, pull the yarn out. Okay, all the way through to the end. Okay, now we're near the end of row 2, and you can see this stitch marker, which marks the first stitch of row 1, yeah? We can still do, according to the pattern, back loop owning, like a yarn over slip stitch, or there's a little trick here to make the edge of your garment more tight. For this one, for the last stitch of every row, you can do it through the top V. Yeah, like that. Okay, now chain 1, turn over. This is now a row 3. It's an odd number row. On every odd number row, you don't change the type of stitches you were making. So row 2, we just did back loop only, yarn over slip stitch, and row 3, we're going to do exactly the same. So yarn over, back loop only, insert yarn and yarn over slip stitch. Okay, and then we're going to move this stitch marker from the previous row to here. Yeah, that's the first row. The reason we're doing this is so we don't miss out on stitches on both sides. Okay, we're going to just do back loop only, yarn over slip stitches the whole all the way to the end. Again, at the very end, you can either do the same back loop, it doesn't matter, or, like I said before, the little trick to make your edge slightly tighter is then you insert your hook into the V shape at the top for the last stitch. Okay. I'll fast forward a bit and I'll see you at the end of the row. Okay, chain, 1 chain, and I turn over. Okay, so now I'm facing the side that I have my stitch marker on. So that means I'm now at an even number row now. And what I do is, now I need to change my stitch. So the last row, what I did is a back loop only stitch. Now I'm going to do a front loop only stitch. So every time when you come to an even number row, you're going to switch your type of stitches. Okay, so yarn over. Again, we need to just find the right loop to insert your hook into. That's the back loop, that's the middle loop, and this is the front loop. Okay, and after the first stitch, we just move our first stitch marker to this one. Yeah? Okay. And then we continue this way and make front loop only yarn over slip stitches all the way to the end. And again, at the very last stitch, you can still just do the front loop only, like according to the pattern, or you can just do, insert the stitch to the top V, to those 2 loops, and then make like a normal yarn over slip stitch. Okay, so that's the important part of the special stitches that we'll be using. Pay attention to changing your switching from back loop only to the front loop only, because that's how the double ribbing is created. Make sure you don't lose count. And it's every 4 rows that creates a repeat of the double ribbing. So you'll see that from the pattern too. And once you move on to the single ribbing part, it's a combination of double stitches into the back loop only and back loop only, yarn over, slip stitches. The stitch names are very tricky here. Okay, and in that case, from the single ribbing part onward, you don't have to worry too much about the front loop anymore. And it's always the loop that's furthest away from you. That's where you insert your hook. Okay, I think that's about it. And let's enjoy the crochet process.